All right, I want to continue the discussion on the government shutdown from a congressional perspective. And joining me now to discuss this and more is Congressman Michael Cloud. He's a member of the Appropriations Committee as well as the Oversight and Government Reform Committee. He represents the great state of Texas, the 27th district there. Congressman Cloud, welcome back to Washington Watch. Always an honor to have you.
Sure thing. Good to be on with you today.
All right, so what is the latest chatter that you're hearing on the government shutdown? Is any progress potential out there?
Well, I wish I could tell you there's a whole lot more news to report on this, but sad to say it's another trip around the sun, so to speak, with the Democrats digging in still in the Senate and not willing to move off their untenable positions. Remember, this is funding that they initially passed, and the things that they're complaining about have nothing to do with this piece of legislation, or, for example, the deadlines that they're concerned about are deadlines that they set in place and voted on. So there's really nothing for us to do as Republicans when it comes to this piece of legislation. There aren't our priorities, there are their priorities. We were simply looking to keep the government up and running while we extend the calendar so we can complete the appropriations process, which does have our priorities in it. That's a good place to negotiate if they want to, but right now this is meant to just keep the doors open. Sadly, even the timeline on this, if it were to pass today, which it looks like the Dems are going to continue to dig in for the next few days, would only increase the calendar for a few more weeks. And so we have some work to do. We're going to need them to play ball in the Senate to get the work done for the American people.
Yeah, I mean, all of this, as you mentioned, are things that they've supported in the past, which makes you think this is all about just their dislike for President Trump, which is not a worthy enough reason to shut down the government. But I don't know if you've heard about this, Congressman Cloud. I heard about it just a little while ago, but evidently Senate Majority Leader John Thune is expecting to meet with a group of rank and file House Democrats about the shutdown. Are you hearing anything about that? What do you make of it? Is there potential that they could be looking for an off-ramp right now and put an end to it?
I'm certain there's some Senate Dems who do want an off-ramp. Even Schumer, I think, if he had an idea to how to save face and get out of it, probably would want out of it. As you mentioned, he's not opposed policy-wise. This is legislation that he's voted for a number of times. It's just he's quite in the political pickle, so to speak, in what to do, both in dealing with what he has politically going on back in his home and state, and then how to keep the far left extreme of their wing happy. And so they're in a hard place when they stop putting the American people first and putting what needs to be done first. This isn't a policy argument with them. They've even said as much as, this is the only leverage we have to try to score whatever political points they need to score. And so hopefully we'll be able to find some more sensible Senate Democrats who can see the fact that something needs to move here and maybe one by one help us come to past this impasse. But that's so far all we've seen is the digging into the heels, and that's not good for anyone.
Yeah, and they're certainly not winning either. Every poll I've seen has Republicans taking advantage of this in all the polls with the American people. I want to ask you this real quickly, then I want to change topics with you. But all of this, the CR was voted on back over a month ago, or about a month ago, September 19th. But all that was to try to just push this out 7 weeks, which that deadline would be November 12th. So November 21st. So even if the Democrats did pass something now, does that deadline need to be changed? And, if so, what would happen there? What else might change?
Yeah, the deadline certainly is an issue at this point as we get close. Again, the goal was for us to have time to work into conference on the appropriations bills that are coming through. We've already passed them out of the committee, and they need to be addressed in conference committee between the House and the Senate, and then onto the floor. But we're running out of time to do that, and so the date is most definitely going to be an issue. And this is, again, as you mentioned, I'm no fan of CRs, but it was a way for us to get to the proper appropriations process. the big vision here is we're trying to break the back of the Christmas omnibus. We've been making some headway over the last several years in this, but of course the swamp wants to swamp, and they're going to do everything they can to manipulate the calendar, to dig in their heels, to do whatever they can to push us to that massive multi-thousand-page bill with trillions of spending that nobody knows what's in it, that does nothing but expand government and put a heavy debt burden on the American people, and has no policy wins. That's not what this president's about. That's not what the Republicans in Congress are working for. And so we're going to do everything we can, in spite of the tricks and games that they're pulling and trying to manipulate the calendar, to make sure that we're breaking the back and getting gains for the American people, not only in the policy, but in how Washington, D.C. works.
Well, thank you for standing firm with that. Real quickly, we've only got a little over a minute left, but you also serve on the Oversight Committee. Great committee. The staff there in that committee released a report yesterday on President Biden's Autopen presidency. Tell us about that real quickly.
Well, what so many Americans expected has been true, and you know, many people are wondering who's really running the White House. And what we found out is that the staff was doing quite a bit of the work, even when it came to signing pieces of or executive orders, I should say, or signing pardons. You know, and this is very troubling, especially when you find out that staff members were approving the use of the Autopen, and you even had Biden's DOJ saying this is probably not a good idea to be using the Autopen machine on things that have any sort of legal merit to it. You know, birthday cards, Christmas cards. Okay, we understand you can't send out millions to handwritten signatures from the president, but when it comes to things that have legal consequences, the president needs to be involved, certainly needs to know about it and actually be the one signing it.
Absolutely. Congressman Michael Cloud of Texas, as always, thank you for joining us on Washington Watch.